Hello Power Rangers Lightning Collection fans, and welcome back to Toku Topics. Today we are pretty much finished with the line as I take a look at two of the final three figures that I just didn't bother to buy last year. Alright, so today we're taking a look at the red and green remastered Ranger figures from the Lightning Collection. And I have things to say about these guys. So, first of all, I should have bought them months ago. I absolutely should have. So these first went up for pre-order basically a year ago. And came out, I don't know, 6 months or so ago. And they've been sold out for months. And they went back up for pre-order for like a re-release later on in fall of 2024. That does not seem to be happening. Entertainment Earth has been canceling orders. Big Bad Toy Store has been delaying orders. So it looks like these were going to get a reprint and are now no longer getting a reprint because Power Rangers and the Lightning Collection are both dead. So, this is interesting. Now, I talked about this back on Lightning Storm back in February, but there was one place I was able to find these for a reasonable-ish price, and that was actually, surprisingly, AliExpress. So there are some sellers that you can find these for somewhat close to retail, and that's where I got both of these. So I did say in that video that I was going to buy them, and I was going to report back, and today I'm finally reporting back, even though I have had these for like a month. I just have not bothered to really care. They're open, but I don't care. So we're going to take a look at these two figures. I'm going to give my thoughts on how they are, because they're a weird batch here. Now, I still don't have Remastered Pink. As of right now, that is the last Lightning Collection figure that I do not own. I do not want it, but I will get it eventually, someday. That one's not as hard to get as red and green, because Pink doesn't really offer anything too crazy to the table, but these two, as you probably know, are the most controversial and also sort of kind of worth it of the remastered lineup. So here we go. So I will say, AliExpress, the seller, did send them to me in a bag. Two separate bags. This was two separate orders. So red got a tiny bit beat up. I'm not super mad about the status of red's box. There is a good crease back there. So there's a little sticker there. Some stickers of, like, you know, text. I'm going to want to take that one off because I've been displaying them like this so I can see the render, and I don't like that there. But red's box, it's fine. So, you know, obviously same kind of remastered look here with the look armored red. So what is interesting here is that they do actually specifically mention that this is Jason from the Season 2 episode Green No More, which is fascinating. These are both from that. So definitely interesting way to do this. As you all know, the controversy with this not including a Austin St. John head, with Austin St. John being the way he's been recently, you know, I'm going to be including that petition to kick him out of Morphicon, just because of how not great of a person he is. I can see why they didn't include the head there, so we'll get into that. Green, on the other hand, his box is a lot more beat up, like holy shit. So I would very much like to get a new box for my remastered green. Because it got kicked in. So that's interesting. What is weird about this is that the artwork does not match really the same kind of style as the other ones did. But there is like artwork of the Green Ranger that was used in 30th anniversary promos last year. But I'm not sure why it's not the one on this box. So though this is a really pretty artwork, and also of course they had to edit it to not include a shield because, as you all know, this Green Ranger does not include a dragon shield for reasons. And this is also a Green No More version of the figure and all the accessories there. So, like I said, I've already opened these. We're going to take a look at the figures, compare them to their original versions. You know, I'm not the first one to take a look at these by any means, but let's finally do it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start with Tommy here, because I don't have as much to say about Tommy, but I also think it's not a great release, but it's not a bad release by any means. I like this enough. So I have some issues with it, but I also don't have some issues with it. Let's just get into it. So, of course, the figure is the same sort of remastered body mold as we've had with all the other males so far, where it is that pinless body, but is not as loose. He's a little wobbly. I think a little bit more wobbly than blue and black were. The new Tommy head sculpt, the new Jason David Frank likeness. Let me zoom in on it like a little bit more so we can actually see it. That's way too far. So, I do see it, and I'm going to compare it to the original Wave 7 release from 2020, but that's too far out. I don't know. It's not, I don't think it's as good as what we've had before. I think that they have done a better job with older releases of Tommy's likeness, but it's not the worst one. It is a unique one too, so I always appreciate getting other likenesses. This is nice to have. It kind of works well, I think, maybe for like a Turbo Red one, because I was kind of using like a different sort of likeness for that one, since we didn't get a Tommy Turbo likeness specifically, so I do like having that. It is nice to get a Green Ranger that finally has the diamonds underneath the shield, but that's because obviously this one does not include a shield. And this is a valid version of the Green Ranger to make. I can't deny that. The only problem is that it's just so bizarre to actually get a figure of the Green Ranger sold without the Dragon Shield. I think it's the first time there's ever been a figure released that didn't have it, like in any kind of line. The Green Ranger always has his Dragon Shield, I think. I really can't think, except for Imagine X, actually. Imagine X did that weird thing where he didn't have it at first and then he got it later. But besides that, really strange. Now, my biggest complaint, honestly, which I know is dumb, is the holster being a Blade Blaster holster and not a Dragon Dagger holster. I feel like if you want to actually get a pretty good figure out of this, you're gonna have to like you would have to take the torso off and put it on the old figure, but then the belt here is better because it has the black lines. So these are supposed to be, the definitive ones remastered, and I think that is just a really annoying thing. And it feels like an incomplete figure because of the lack of the Dragon Shield. It's not an incomplete figure, it just, like I said, it just feels that way, which makes it, kind of tricky in terms of my opinion on how I think the figure has turned out overall. Because it's not the correct holster, it doesn't have a shield, it just feels like you're not getting a full experience out of this. In technicality, you can make this sort of pretend like it's a comic figure and being the original Green Ranger that the coin originally was, the user of before Rita got the coin, if you really want to play technical with that. Now, he does include a Blade Blaster in all three forms, which he never used. I know there are some footage clips of Mighty Morphin where he had it by accident once or something. Maybe in Green No More he did. It's been a very long time since I've seen that episode, but you get all three versions. You get all the same kind of hands, so you get the two holding hands, the two fists, and the Morpher holding hands. You do get the Morpher, which is extremely tiny, just like the other ones, which, let me try to zoom in. I'll go 5 on this one so you can actually see it. There it is, with all the details and everything like that, which is nice. I do like having those little Power Morphers. They're fun. Of course, you get the Dragon Dagger, which is painted very nicely compared to pretty much any other release. It's very similar, maybe just a little bit more cleaner paint applications. And then, of course, you get the helmet, which does have the silver trim on it and not the white trim. So classic Hasbro. The white trim was only ever done correctly one time, with the Fighting Spirit Green Ranger back in 2019, but that had the silver stripe, so there is no proper version of the Green Ranger helmet in the Lightning Collection figure line that is actually correct, even though this is supposed to be the definitive one. So, and then also, speaking of Green No More, he has his green candle, which is a brand new accessory we've never had before, which I really like that. I really like having that accessory. And then you do get those green blast wave morph effect pieces, whatever you want to call these, which are very, very fun. I do like those a lot, because we get them in the whole team, and it's just really fun. So, green, it's one of those things where the original release is kind of hard to find, for sure. And so, if you don't have a Green Ranger Tommy figure, this is the way to go, I guess. But you're going to need Remastered Red to actually have it complete. And this has become one of the 2 rarest figures of this remastered line alongside Red, because obviously... And so, it's kind of a tricky... It's a hard recommendation. If you already have a Green Mighty Morphin Lightning Collection figure, you probably don't need this. If you don't have one, I might still kind of try to track down, if I were you, the original Wave 7 one. The Wave 7 one is pretty great. I really do like it. And we're going to go ahead and compare it to that here right now. So here's the remastered version of Lightning Collection Green Ranger versus the original 2020 Wave 7 one. So like I said, obviously not counting the fact that he doesn't have the Dragon Shield, I probably do like this one better. It doesn't have the diamonds underneath there, as you know, was a big controversy. This one does have that. I do think that the golds are pretty much the same. The helmets, I feel like maybe he's a slightly lighter green, which is probably a little bit better. But in the belt, obviously, he has the winning there. And the biggest thing that's kind of also different is, of course, the pinless joints and not pinless joints. But with this guy having the correct holster and having, I do think the original shield is nice looking, even though I think the new one is also very good. I probably prefer this one, honestly. Like, I mean, I know this one was kind of technically branded as like the evil Green Ranger because it had like the Sword of Darkness and stuff like that. This one does not have that one. This one specifically, you know, that means they technically never made a proper good Tommy Green Ranger. I mean, obviously this one is also that, but they technically, you know, this one's from Season 2's Green No More. This one is technically the evil one, which is just weird. They did it like that. But, I don't know. I feel like, you know, especially with the fact that they still didn't get the helmet right either time. You have the whole shield thing, the Dragon Dagger holster. Like, I'm probably going to still go with this one, honestly. But this one is a valid one to exist, I suppose. So moving on to the remastered Red Ranger, or technically the remastered Armored Red Ranger. This is my favorite remastered figure that we've gotten thus far, I'd have to say. I really like this release a lot. I just can't argue that it's a weird one. I also can't argue that it's not a justified one. I feel like if we're releasing 30th anniversary figures, we should have just gotten a regular Red Ranger, but you can make this into a regular Red Ranger. So it's one of those things where it's like, it's a really good release. You know, it's one of those things too where it still also doesn't feel like a complete figure because you don't get the Jason head sculpt or a new Jason head sculpt. Of course, you can still use the older ones for, you know, any of the kind of ones that we've had in the past. We've had 3 different Jason head sculpts, but so it still doesn't feel like neither one of these, like I said, feel like a complete figure release. And it feels like you really need to get this one to complete green, and then you're going to need to have like an older figure to complete this one. It's a whole thing. It's also not like, you can't even call this like a proper Armored Red because it doesn't have a Dragon Dagger holster. However, there is times that Jason uses this armor, like in Green No More and also in the Season 1 episode Gun Ho, where he doesn't have the Dragon Dagger holster. So it is accurate to those episodes, so it's like a valid release there. It does improve off of the original 2019 Armored Red in both its Dragon Shield and its helmet. So, like, it's a messy thing. It really is. This Dragon Shield is excellent, though, and we'll take a closer look at that in a second. The helmet, thankfully, is using the same helmet sculpt with the nice, much better trim and everything that we had on the Color Swap 2-pack. So, very happy to get that there on a proper Red Ranger body. The shield, like I said, very nice gold. Love the shield. It's a different kind of rubbery kind of material. The bands, I think it's definitely a lot more of an accurate color than the original Dragon Shield we've had like 500 times. So I very much like this shield a lot. I'm sure you guys already know the functionality that it has, but we'll get to that in a second. I will say he has pretty bad discolored joints in terms of the knees not matching the same shade of red. That's a very widespread Lightning Collection problem. It's not unique to him. I just feel like, at least on mine, also he's a little wobbly, but still not as badly or anything like that as like other pinless figures have been. So that's good. Accessories wise, the power sword, you know, nothing new here that we haven't seen 1,000 times. It looks very good paint wise, very clean. The handle, I'm sure, is going to have the paint rub off. You get all 3 versions of the Blade Blaster. These are the new ones, by the way. I'm sure I've mentioned before they have the little effect piece hole. That's cool. You get the fists, you get the morph hands, you get the holding hands. So that's all good and dandy. You do get the power morpher, of course, which I will zoom in right now. So there is the Tyrannosaurus coin in there, very, very, very tinily. Which is interesting because this makes even less sense for him to have this because there's no civilian head, but you know, whatever. At least you have it. And then, of course, you get the effect piece that I've said many times that I love. But you get it in red this time, which, like I said, I love this effect piece. I love getting the same exact one for the whole team in all their colors. I actually genuinely really, really like that one a lot. Now, of course, the best part of this figure is the fact that he has a removable Dragon Shield. So you get... I love this. So you just unpin it like this, very simple. And then it should be able to just sort of plop off. Actually, I'm sorry, you have to take the helmet off too. And then you can just plop the Dragon Shield off like that. And then even the bands are removable. So I believe you just kind of have to, you know, stretch it over like that. Nothing too difficult. I'd say it's pretty easy. And what I absolutely love about this, and so of course then you can have just a proper regular remastered red, which looks great. Very much like this. This is definitely the definitive Mighty Morphin Red Ranger figure in the line. The only thing that is, like, basically I'd say if you got this and you got like that Comic-Con 2-pack, you're pretty much all gold. Gold in there because you have, you know, 2 Jason head sculpts with that 2-pack, and then you have both versions of Armored Red. You can make regular red. So basically I'd say it's definitely the definitive version of the Red Ranger in the Lightning Collection. I love it. I really do. Even with the lack of Jason head. Now the Dragon Shield here, what's really cool about this is so you get two different settings. One for the male figures and then one for the female figures where it's going to be having the bands a little closer in. It's going to make it look very big on the female figures. I'm not going to show that off necessarily too much here. I might do a couple little pictures of some Rangers wearing this at the end of the video. But you can, of course, have pretty much anybody wear this now. And so if we go ahead and bring Mighty Morphin Green back, who I put back in his little case, we can actually properly make a complete Mighty Morphin Green. So, of course, since you can take the bands off, you can have the gun-ho version of both these guys where they didn't swap bands. And let's see, so put that there, wrap the straps around, and then they should be able to peg in pretty simply. Yep, very, very easy. And then that should just, do I have it upside down? I think I might have it upside down. Just slide this on. It goes on very nicely. I was kind of worried about kind of maybe how bumpy it would be to get the bands on, but it's really not bad at all. So do that, and then we'll take the helmet, and you got, did I get it? I think so. Now you got a proper, complete, remastered green, which looks fantastic. Still has their own holster though, so yeah, definitely good when you have the full, complete kind of look here. But definitely just a strange way of releasing these. I cannot deny that, and I cannot necessarily endorse that thought process, but I kind of see why it happened. But let's go ahead and quickly compare this Mighty Morphin Red to the older one and wrap this up. And here's the comparison between the remastered Armored Red and the original Armored Red. Now this one is more accurate in terms of the actual suit by having the Dragon Dagger holster and such like that, but this one does have that terrible Red Ranger helmet. This was the first release, or the first figure to have this helmet, because this figure came out way before the regular Red Ranger figure. So this one was part of that Comic-Con 2019 exclusive set. So yeah, this one definitely blows it out of the water. I mean, this one is infinitely better. I mean, I wish that there was some kind of way they could have had a removable Dragon Dagger holster for him or something like that. Because that's the only thing that's not making this like a perfect Armor Red. Even though this is, you know, like I said earlier, something that did happen in the show with the shield being able to be removed and not having a holster and stuff like that. So like, these are both technically, you know, valid versions of this suit. So if basically, I would say, if we swap the helmets here, so if you have both releases, it's not going to go on easily. There we go. All right, now we have a perfect Armored Red. that is the way to go. That helmet looks infinitely better on the original Armored Red. So like, that is exactly how this figure should have looked when it came out. Geez, what, 5 years ago? So that's crazy. I can't believe it's been that long. So if you have the Comic-Con set, and I would say if you have like an extra color swap red or something like that, since this helmet is the same as the color swap one, then you could make a perfect one of that and then make this be a really good regular Red Ranger. So I'd say that they did pretty good being able to sort of rectify their mistake while also still having a good version of this if you never got the Comic-Con set. And then lastly, I wanted to real quick show off Pink wearing the Dragon Shield, and also use it as an example of the male or the female configuration of this. So it is a little big on her for sure, and like I said, you're going to want to use those higher up connection points, which it's kind of tricky to find them there, but you see what this is supposed to be. Alright, so there's the shield attached. Now the problem with this though is that her arm is way too thin to wear the band, as it just fell onto the floor. So you're not going to be able to do that. But you can attach the shield, and you can get this armored Pink Ranger look from the Mighty Morphin Boom Studios comics. But man, is it like, it looks huge on her. I wish we actually got a proper figure of this form, since it did exist in the Shattered Grid storyline. And I do like that they have that different configuration, so you can have it, like, it's going to stay on. It's not going to fall off. It's just very wobbly and doesn't really, you know, sit correctly. It looks too big. The bands can't be on there. So it's not perfect, but at least you can kind of do something like this, I suppose. But yeah, I wish we just had gotten a proper figure of this form. And that is going to do it for my review of the Power Rangers Lightning Collection Remastered Mighty Morphin Red and Green Ranger figures. So finally got this done. Don't know when I'm going to get around to ever owning or reviewing Pink, but I'm sure it will happen someday. So, I don't know. I like these releases in a couple different ways, as I mentioned throughout the video. The Dragon Shield is excellent. If you can find the Armored Red release, I highly recommend that one, because you pretty much get like a perfect Red Ranger figure out of it. If you have like that Comic-Con set, like I mentioned earlier, you have the show accurate version of Armored Red. You get a Dragon Shield you can give to Tommy or to anybody. You get the corrected helmet. You don't get a Jason head, but who cares? So it's not that big of a deal, in my opinion, with that one. And this figure is really good, or that figure is really good. As for the Green Ranger one, like I said earlier, if you don't have a Mighty Morphin Green Ranger figure in the Lightning Collection, you should try to track down the original 2020 release. Now, this one, of course, is going to be more in tune with the rest of the remasters, if you're going to be getting that whole team. But if you're sort of just picking and choosing, you know, getting the ones that were harder to find, then I feel like you could probably try to go for the original one. The original one isn't, like, impossible to find. This one has, both of these two figures here have gone up in price pretty substantially since they came out, especially with Hasbro canceling the production of the restocks of them for 2024, so they are going to become harder and harder to find. The AliExpress method will, you know, probably still be a thing for a little bit of time. It will not be like an end-all be-all solution to this, so I don't know. It's hard to recommend them. Like I said, I think they are the best of the remastered lineup, except for green just being such a weird thing. But with the Lightning Collection, you kind of come to expect the fact that they don't care about being correct, they just care about getting it done, as the entire line showed throughout its lifetime. So it's done. The Mighty Morphin team is all made in the remastered line with very nice looking figures with just some of that classic Lightning Collection, why did they do it this way charm. So let me know down in the comments below, did you get either one of these? Are you still trying to find either one of these? Or are you one of the people who was screwed over by the cancellation of the restocks? I'd love to know, because, you know, I should have pre-ordered these, or I did pre-order these, but I canceled that pre-order, and then I should have kept that pre-order, and that is why I had to go through the AliExpress method. Thankfully, I only ended up paying a little under $80 for the two of these together, which is only a little, like $5-ish over market value, or MSRP for both of them, so it's done. I'm done. That's it. So next time, you guys can follow me on Twitter at LivingRangerKey or LightningFigPR, and I will see you all later. Before I wrap up this video, I want to go ahead and thank my $5 above Patreon members and channel members: Jurassic Samurai, Maggot Alchemist, Robert Browning, Static Thunder, Brendan Overland, Maji Yellow, MCPC Studios, James Darty, Matthew Thorne, Josh Landry, Pyramidus, Cross SCV, Caboose Ed, Socket Monsters, Daniel Pica, Jesus Prime, Louis Carnes, Carlos Alfredo, and Gavin Greenlee. If you'd like to support Toku Topics, you can do so either here on YouTube as a channel member or on Patreon for as little as $1 a month, linked in the description below.